Hi, everyone. It's Bob Perkins bringing you another Monday Morning Sales Minute with the AAISP. I'm excited to have a special guest with us today, Penny Foster, who is head of sales for Stampli. Penny, how are you today?
I'm great. Thanks for having me, Bob.
It's our pleasure. We did a series on lessons from the trenches, and Penny has been an inside sales leader for quite some time. She's going to share her ideas, tips around hiring top talent. So Penny, it's all yours.
Thanks so much, Bob. So over the past couple of years, Stampli's grown 400%. I've been working super hard and I've learned a ton along the way. So I really wanted to share my learnings and give back to the community. So hopefully this will be helpful for any other sales leaders that are part of this great organization, and it might also be helpful for individual contributors who may be thinking about looking or part of the interview process and might want to understand my perspective as a sales leader in terms of some of the things I'm looking for and thinking about as I'm hiring. So one of the things that I learned early on was to really think about the strategy in terms of what type of reps did we want to hire, and why was that so important. So for many organizations, they want a structure of some kind of BDR, SDR, and then AE. It might be that the BDR or SDR is the inside sales role, and maybe the AE is the one going out into the field, right? So that's where kind of inside and outside meet. For us, we're a full inside sales shop. And what mattered to us was that our sales cycle was only 2 months. So we didn't want to get this amazing BDR team to do all this work only to hand it over to a rep who's going to say, okay, great. Do you want to sign up for the trial? Great. I closed the account. Just didn't make sense for me. So the first point there is really about what should the structure of your team be?
So basically, and I've seen the mistake made where, I just need a good salesperson. Well, really the role is this. So you need to hire to the specific role. Is that your point?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And for us, we learned that because it's a pretty quick sales cycle, we can hire people who are experienced BDRs who haven't been AEs before that we can train.
Great.
So that for us was a really helpful learning.
How do you, let's stay on that point for a minute. I like the concept, hire a high performing BDR that you can train into a sales executive role that closes. What do you look for, right?
That's a really, really great question, and kind of where I wanted to go next. Because making that hiring decision, knowing what is your candidate profile that works for you is so key. And honestly, that's where I've had some of my biggest failings and learned the hard way, even to the point of having some reps that didn't work out. And that's, always really a hard thing. But I was like, wow, I want to be able to share this knowledge. So the number one most important thing, and I didn't think this 2 years ago, it kind of sounded cliche to me, but really the number one thing is somebody's character. Are they positive? Are they a team player? Or are they a sharp wolf? They're not really concerned about the culture. And I thought maybe it didn't matter if I find this, hot shot, great person, but I learned the hard way. It impacts the rest of the team. It poisons your well, and it really matters the most.
So you look for the attitude, the ability to fit into the culture. We just did an article with Gene Hammett, and he talks about that top producer that's a cancer to the team. So that's a great thing to look for. What other tips could you provide the viewers around hiring?
Yeah, so another thing is making sure that there's really 3 main things. So the first thing is character, right? Making sure that they're a right cultural fit for your team. The second thing is passion, and really making sure that they're genuinely passionate about your product. And I'll talk in a second about one of the ways you can check for that in an interview. And then the third thing is reference checks. I
Uh,
cannot emphasize enough the importance of really verifying and even asking questions in a way of, when I talk to your previous manager about XYZ, what will they say about how you performed in that way? And so when you kind of open it up, they know it makes things a lot easier, and you get more honest answers.
that's great. So talk to us about, how do you uncover passion? I'd agree with that, by the way. But how do you do it in an interview?
Yeah, so there's a great trick called baselining. There's a few other terms for it. But you can look at someone's body language, where they're looking, their speech, do they speed up, slow down? And you can kind of gauge a little bit. And when I say baseline, I mean, you start with a question where you know you're going to get a certain answer. So
Yeah,
I like to ask someone, what are you passionate about? Tell
yeah,
me something that really excites you. It can be in your professional life, personal, tell me about something. And then, not only are you getting great insights about who that person really is, and I want to know about what their passion is, right? But you're also getting all these great physical cues that when you ask them then about your company, or about selling, you can gauge and say, am I getting the same reaction here, or is this a little different?
yeah. That's a great. Yeah, I like this baselining idea. I hadn't really heard of that the way you said it, but that is so true. If they're all excited about, hey, I love golfing or playing tennis, or you know,
Exactly.
hiking, and then you ask them, what do you like about finding new deals? Well, finding new deals are, part of my job. And so if that goes down a little bit, a little red flag.
Exactly, because
That's
you really
great.
build a team of people that are passionate about sales and passionate about what they do.
Great. So the third point, and we'll sort of wrap up here on the third point, reference checks. Now, I know sometimes by the time we get to a reference check, a lot of managers have made up their mind they're going to hire this person.
Right.
Oh, they got to they check the box and check references. Talk to us about your best practices for that.
Right. So again, that's something I learned the hard way, and I hired someone, and they turned out to be telling a few tall tales to me. And I said, man, I wish I did a better job checking their references. And yeah,
Yeah.
I did the reference call, I checked the box, but it's not the same as really, having a heart to heart with a prior manager or someone someone they worked with, to get that. But you can't always get that right, because we're in a professional world. Sometimes someone might have done a terrible job and got fired, but people still want to give that reference.
Yep.
So what do you do? For me, it's about that 360-degree angle of references. So I don't just ask for a manager. I
Yeah.
also, if they were a BDR, I want to speak to one of the AEs that they supported. I also want to speak to a peer so I can get a well-rounded perspective. And,
That's great.
people might not say, oh, this person was terrible. They're not going to come out and say that. But what you can do is kind of link the dots and
Yeah.
say, it all seem consistent, or were there any inconsistencies? And that's where you might want to dig in a little bit.
I think you can triangulate a little bit. I love the 360 degree. And if you're lucky enough, maybe a company that they worked at, some people there, you can almost ask around a little bit, even if they didn't give you that person's name. Is that right?
Absolutely. And I've even, to be honest, gone onto LinkedIn and said, okay, what company were they at? Who was
Yeah.
VP sales at the time? Let me give them a call. And I've done it, and it's always been really productive and a great way to network as well. So
Listen,
it's been a
this is
way around.
this is great. You've given the viewers here three really good points that sometimes we forget, right? To do our due diligence. One, look at the character, the attitude, the culture fit. Two, that passion baselining. I love that concept. And then let's really do due diligence in the reference check, not just to check it off the box, but to dig in deep, do a 360. Penny, thanks so much. I really appreciate you joining us today. Tell us briefly about your company and what you do.
Sure. So Stampli is an accounts payable tool we sell to finance. So just like at home, you've got to pay your bills, right? Chances are you don't get approval from anyone except maybe, your wife, the real boss. Maybe that's the case. But in general, we don't need that. But all businesses need to get approvals before they can pay out money from the company, right? And a lot of times those approvals happen in email threads. So Stampli's putting it all on one place on top of the invoice itself, its own digital landing page. And it's a really effective way to communicate about accounts payable.
That's great. And if any of the viewers want to talk to you further about hiring, right, and maybe pick your brain a little bit, what's the best way to reach you?
Absolutely. So LinkedIn is definitely the best way. I'm also getting active inside of AAISP, really getting more into mentoring, being a protege, learning from different ones. So inside of the membership portal is a great way as well.
Excellent. Well, thanks for your membership. Thanks for sharing these tips, really good ones. Penny, I'm sure we'll see you at an AAISP event in the future. Everyone, thanks for watching this episode of the Monday Morning Sales Minute. And until next week, good selling.